every game this season is already sold out here at Kinnick Stadium. And 70,000 strong. They've already welcomed Iowa onto the field. Iowa State waits to take the field next. And as I said, there was no game here a couple of years ago because of COVID. So for a lot of these players on both sides, first time they've experienced this rivalry inside Kinnick Stadium.
I've referred to this as the golden era of the Cy-Hawk rivalry because of the place that both programs hold at the moment. So competitive, championship aspirations for each of them. We've very rarely seen both programs near the pinnacle that we're seeing them at right now.
And here is our national anthem. Coach Campbell and Iowa State taking the field. They looked impressive last week, getting to 1-0, hoping to carry that momentum forward here today in a hostile environment. And with that, we welcome you to the broadcast booth. Brandon Gaudin, Anthony Herron, very pleased to be with you. You know, Kirk Ferentz said to us yesterday, Anthony, this is a very underappreciated rivalry, and I think it is. There's no pro sports teams in this state. This game to these teams and these fan bases is enormous.
You just feel the energy reverberating through Kinnick Stadium right now, and it's always a special atmosphere when you're here for a home game, but it ticks up a few notches when the Cyclones come to town, and this is a fan base that loves to defeat Iowa State, but the Cyclone fan base feels like this is the best opportunity they've had to take down the Hawkeyes.
Well, let's talk about the Hawkeyes first. Against South Dakota State, there was so much focus on how poorly the offense played, but that defense was sensational.
And I'll tell you what, man, I mean, if anyone in the country thought that maybe Iowa's defense would take a step back, they were mistaken with the way things looked in that opening game. Their defensive coordinator, Phil Parker, though, he did notice they didn't take the rock away, as we're accustomed to seeing. But the role of Gulliver for the Hawkeye defense is played by inside linebacker Jack Campbell, a mountain of a man who's as versatile a playmaker as we see on defense in college football. But the man in the middle for the Hawkeyes operates up front. That is Noah Shannon, only about 6 foot tall. He's usually really adept at eating up blocks, but now we've seen already early in the season, really good at getting on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
Meanwhile, you've got an Iowa State team who has a lot of transition on offense from a season ago. Brock Purdy, who is the winningest quarterback in their program's history, he steps away. Hunter Deckers is the new quarterback. Tell you what, first career start last week, he looked really good.
I could not have been more impressed with Hunter Deckers taking over this Cyclones offense, and he was very efficient. He looked really calm, but I think there's the potential he can add more verticality to this Cyclone passing attack to be able to hit the deep ball in a more effective manner than we've seen since Matt Campbell's been here. And he's got a playmaker on the outside in Xavier Hutchinson who can electrify a stadium at any given moment. He's been all Big 12 the last couple of seasons here. They move him all around. He's the Where's Waldo for the Hawkeye defense today. They are going to have to know where X lines up at all times.
And for more on the Iowa offensive side of things, let's go down to the field and join Rick Pizzo.
Brandon, thank you. Both Kirk Ferentz and OC Brian Ferentz were disappointed by the way the offense functioned in its season opener. Said that unit has to be more explosive, more dynamic. There is some good news. Gavin Williams, who missed that game, was back in practice this week. Kirk Ferentz said he looked very confident late in the week. He should be able to spell starter LaShawn Williams. And as Kirk Ferentz pointed out, he's a very good pass catcher out of the backfield. That could be important because Iowa will once again be without Keegan Johnson and Nico Reganey on the the outside. Arlen Bruce, a heavy dose last week, and that will be the case again today, but Brian Ferentz will have to use him on a pitch count because of how he plays on special teams. Sam Laporta is also expected to once again go from that tight end position to the wide receiver spot on the outside, but the trouble for Ferentz trying to convince the Iowa State defense that there are players other than Bruce and Laporta they have to focus on when Iowa is in passing situations.
Well, certainly it's an offense that struggled last week. See if they can get back on track. Don't forget to download the brand new Fox Weather app, bringing you the conditions right now. 70 degrees, cloudy skies. There is a chance of rain as the game progresses. Right now, we are dry. Iowa won the toss. Iowa State will receive, and the Cy-Hawk battle is underway. Drew Stevens kicks it a yard deep, and Eli Sanders will elect for the touchback. And so Hunter Deckers mentioned that this is just his second career start. In his debut last week, the 42-10 win over Southeast Missouri, he became the first Cyclone to throw 4 touchdown passes.
Last year started, the last few years started one of the all-time greats, Brock Purdy, no longer with the program, but Hunter Deckers has been able to study behind him for a few seasons now, and this coaching staff for the Cyclones has immense confidence in what he brings to the table.
Deckers did play in this game last year in the 4th quarter after Brock Purdy was pulled and played really well. So he has played in this rivalry, but not here at Kinnick. Right to the air, and a pass to his top man, Xavier Hutchinson, who had 8 catches last week with a grab there. And he is the guy. Jalen Knoll, also a very good receiver for the Cyclones.
Variety of playmakers. They went into the transfer portal, got Dimitri Stanley from Colorado as well. You look up front, a mammoth offensive line, kind of a variety of experience. Trevor Downing, their center, moved from guard from last season.
And at right tackle, Grant Triber's actually getting the start for Jake Rimsberg. Rimsberg injured for the 2nd straight week. Again targeting Hutchinson, and he catches it, but is dropped quickly by Terry Roberts, and that'll bring up a 3rd down as we get a peek at this talented Iowa defense.
Joe Evans, their defensive end, didn't even start last season, but tied for the team lead in sacks. He's from Ames, very excited about today. As much press clippings as Jack Campbell gets, Seth Benson, an immense playmaker as an outside linebacker as well. And we know about Riley Moss, what he can do in the secondary.
3rd down and 3. This Iowa defense last week held South Dakota State to 3 for 16 on 3rd downs. Deckers having trouble finding someone, and he's taken down for a sack. John Wagner, the senior from Des Moines, makes it 4th down and a 7-yard loss.
Ends up being a coverage sack. As you get it from the perspective of Hunter Deckers, he's looking for coverage, but Iowa's secondary just squatted at the sticks, knowing that the Cyclones weren't going to look to beat them over the top. That allowed the additional time for John Wagner to get home.
2nd year as a starter after being limited his first 2 seasons with injuries. Wagner with an impact play there. And it'll be a 3 and out as Tyler Perkins gets set to punt it away. And it's blocked. It's scooped up at the 22. And Iowa will have it in the red zone. Reggie Bracey picked it up after Lucas Van Ness was able to get a hand on it.
Van Ness, known as a power rusher, they went with their punt safe look, but you still saw them rushing to make sure that they could keep the punter for the Cyclones uncomfortable, getting hands in the air. And Lucas Van Ness, young player, a redshirt sophomore, able to get in there. The question has been whether or not the excellence of Iowa's defense and special teams could be sustainable. Early returns are, the answer is yes.
How about that? Set up at the 16-yard line now. Spencer Petras and company take over. Here's LaShawn Williams right up the gut, slipping inside the 10 for a gain of 8. So Spencer Petras, even though he in this offense couldn't find the end zone last week, gifted great field position, but he did struggle in week 1.
He certainly did. And Spencer Petras struggled himself. Playmakers around him struggled, and Rick Pizzo told us about it in his report during the pregame. Playmakers of experience very limited right now because of some of the injuries the Hawkeyes have suffered.
Rick talked about the running back situation. Again, LaShawn Williams getting the start, but told we will probably see Gavin Williams. But here it is LaShawn Williams carrying tacklers in for Iowa's first touchdown of the season. A 9-yard touchdown run, and what a start for the Hawkeyes as Aaron Blom comes on for the point after to make it 7-0. The 3-and-out, the block punt, and Williams takes it in, Anthony.
In his second career start, the angle that they attacked this Cyclone defense would be key because of the tight alignment. The offensive line, they also struggled for the Hawkeyes, but not here early in this game. Moving Cyclones against their will. Iowa up early at Kentucky.
A lot to cheer about for the Iowa faithful here in the first couple of minutes of this one. That was the reaction after LaShawn Williams' touchdown run, and Kirk Ferentz, who is 13-9 in this series and seen his team win 6 straight, could not have envisioned, Anthony, a better start.
Complimentary football is what Kirk Ferentz preaches on such a consistent basis, and I'm not sure there could be much more of a Hawkeye start than we saw up to this point.
So Stevens back out there to boot it away again, and it'll go for another touchback. And you know, all of the talk this week about Spencer Petras, should they pull him, should they not, the coaches have stayed confident in him. Now, he didn't have to do much on that first short drive, but good to see them get the ball in the end zone, I'm sure. And
I believe that's a big part of what the puzzle will have to be for Iowa. Not only last season when you look at his numbers, but going throughout this year. Spencer Petras, he hasn't shown himself to be a quarterback who can play beyond the performance of everyone around him on offense. But when things are going well, when complementary football suits the Hawkeyes, he's been a great winner.
Now how does Hunter Deckers and this Cyclone offense settle in? Deckers, plenty of time, slings it out, complete. Good pitch and catch out across the 35-yard line into the hands of Jalen Knoll. So Hutchinson is the top guy. Knoll's kind of that second go-to receiver.
He is. They like to move him around the formation as well. We do see Iowa State now going with a bit of tempo now that they move the sticks.
And they will do this from time to time as Hunter Deckers keeps it. He's a great athlete. He can run the ball, and he gets it out shy of the 45-yard line as we get a peek at our impact players, brought to you by Auto Owners Insurance.
They used Xavier Hutchinson quite a bit on the opening series, but as the run game gets going, Jared Russ will be the player who's the focal point there. Jack Campbell at the linebacker position will meet him head-on in the hole a few times. And don't allow yourself to be lulled into sleep for Riley Moss on the outside. He hasn't had an INT yet this season, but we're only in the second game.
Couple of preseason All-Americans on that Iowa defense. Here's a handoff, and not going anywhere. Eli Sanders, the redshirt freshman from out in California. No gain. If you're looking for the Michigan State Akron game, Purdue, Indiana State, or Rutgers Wagner, go to btn.com/gamefinder right now to see where you can find the game in your area. So 3rd down and 2 coming up for Iowa State.
We haven't seen Jairell Brock as a part of this offense yet.
He's in the backfield now to the left of Deckers, and we've got our first penalty. Big 12 crew, the referee Tuta Salam.
There were 8 procedural penalties in the opening game last week that Iowa hosted South Dakota State. The volume, the proximity of this crowd at Kinnick Stadium can be really difficult to deal with. It's not just Hunter Deckers making his first road start in this hostile environment, a variety of other young playmakers.
False start, number 66, offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
So backs him up and makes it a more difficult 3rd and 7. You know, only one Iowa State player took snaps on this field in 2018, the last time these two teams played here, so this is new for these guys. Needs 7 yards here. Coming across the formation, but Hutchinson is dropped quickly by Quinn Schulte, making just his second career start. And the junior from Cedar Rapids makes it 4th down, and the Cyclones will punt the football.
These are the zone eyes, and the discipline that Phil Parker consistently talks about. Quinn Schulte is watching the entire way, looking at the crossing pattern from Xavier Hutchinson, and as soon as the ball leaves the hand of Hunter Deckers, he comes downhill, drives on it, and does exactly what this Hawkeye defense is known for, making a tackle.
So now another punt opportunity for Perkins. Remember, had it blocked last time, gets it away cleanly here. And Arlen Bruce inside the 10. He'll back his way to the 19-yard line. 50-yard punt, 11 on the return. Well, both coaching staffs said special teams could be huge in this one. So far, the Hawkeyes with the advantage over Matt Campbell at Iowa State. Battle of the Cyhawk. As we are back at Kinnick Stadium, taking a peek at our impact players presented by Auto Owners Insurance on this side of the ball.
Sam Laporta and Arlen Bruce. That's who Rick Pizzo told you would be the focal points of this Iowa offense. Frankly, it's because everyone else is banged up. But Will McDonald is one of the most ferocious pass rushers in all of college football. Hawkeyes have to keep their eye on him.
First drive, they only had to go 2 plays, 16 yards to get the 7-0 lead. Now Petrus going to the air for the first time, and who does he find? Sam Laporta, that top target who had the 53 catches last year, picks up 11 yards on that play.
They're asking so much of Sam Laporta and Arlen Bruce, lining up as a tight end for Laporta, outside as a wide receiver as well. But those are the completions that John Haycock, the Cyclone defensive coordinator, will give you. Can't blow those layups.
Laporta was bottled up last week, just 9 yards on 2 catches, as was this entire Iowa offense. Different start here so far, but LaShawn Williams is not going anywhere on that play. And this is a talented Iowa State defense. Yeah. They certainly have a lot of playmakers on that side, Anthony.
And one of the other impact players that I didn't end up getting around to referencing there was Anthony Johnson on the back end. And for him, he moved from corner to the safety position this season. He's been one of the better corners in the Big 12 for several seasons now, but he runs the alley like a player who's been playing safety his entire life.
43rd consecutive start for the redshirt senior Anthony Johnson Jr. Second down and 10 here. Petrus pass somehow hauled in. What a catch. That's the other tight end, Luke Lachey, who grabbed that with one hand for a gain of 4.
And it really seems to me that between Sam Laporta and Luke Lachey, there's an advantage Iowa can exploit between their tight ends. Look at that grab. It's not just a clean stab with one hand, but it's a contested catch. He's got a defender in Anthony Johnson draped all over his back. And that's not the first time we've seen Luke Lachey able to make those types of contested plays. He was a wide receiver in high school.
Yeah, they say he's the best athlete in the tight end room. Was a great basketball player, was dunking all the time in high school. Saw his hands there. Now this pass is high. Arlen Bruce was open. Now a flag comes flying in here at the end of this play.
That sprint action was something that Iowa.
Pass interference, number 18, offense. The penalty is declined. It's 4th down.
It's going to be on the youngster, one of the freshman receivers, Alec Wick. He's trying to set up a rub concept, but as he works through the wide receiver, he's that far down the field. He really just kind of like a Mack truck ends up running through multiple Cyclone defenders. But that's one of those mistakes of youth, where you need to be a great actor in a scenario like that. Continue to run your route through the body of the defender and not make it so obvious to the officials.
Big applause for the punter, Tory Taylor. They were chanting MVP last week when he was so sensational in the win over South Dakota State. Had a career-high 10 punts. 3 punts went inside the 5-yard line. And here he lets a big boomer go. And it's caught at the 15, and no, it's going nowhere. As Terry Roberts came in to make the stop, a 51-yard punt and a loss of 1 on the return. Tory Taylor making a name for himself, the Australian feeling at home in Iowa. Big Ten and Special Teams Player of the Week, and it's carried over. He's fired up. Well, next Saturday, we're all Big Ten all morning. Dave, Jerry, Howard, and Nicole. They'll preview every matchup. Mike and Brock, they'll deliver all the fun from Bloomington. Big Ten Tailgate presented by Tums next Saturday, 10 Eastern on the Big Ten Network. Iowa State with Deckers in his second career start. The southpaw fires, and it's knocked down by Cooper DeJean. Second career start for the sophomore. The coaches are very high on that man and his versatility.
He's so athletic and just comfortable in every role that Iowa's tried to put Cooper DeJean in up to this point. And these are one of the matchups I was referencing during the week as we were kind of preparing for this game. Xavier Hutchinson, they'll move him around a lot, and when he's in the slot, we're going to see this matchup with he and DeJean pretty frequently.
Meanwhile, that was the first incompletion for Deckers, 4 for 5. And that one tipped, and it's caught off the tip by none other than their lead receiver, Xavier Hutchinson. Great adjustment and a first down and a gain of 20.
It was Seth Benson who got the tip from the linebacker position, got that one hand up. X-Man ended up bringing it in.
They're going quick, and they go to Hutchinson again. This time he cannot haul it in. That's that battle you were anticipating watching between he and the defender Riley Moss.
And we've seen already a couple of times in this game where the Cyclones have hoped to set up a double move on Riley Moss. Moss had the opportunity to maybe go to the National Football League after last season, having such a spectacular year. Decided to come back, wanted to enhance the way that he could prepare for games, his film study, the way that he could read route combinations. But the playmaking ability certainly is something that will continue.
It's a secondary and a defense that had 25 interceptions last year, a school record. Did not have any picks in the win a week ago. Keeping it, Deckers. Lowering his shoulder and getting a couple extra yards as we go back downstairs to Rick Pizzo.
Brandon, when Iowa State decides to go traditional tempo, it almost seems like this Iowa defense knows what play they're going to run based on the formation. Phil Parker seemed really confident, the defensive coordinator, when we met with him on Friday, that if Iowa State doesn't go tempo, they are not going to threaten Iowa. The only 2 times the Hawkeyes have been caught out of position defensively in the first 3 Iowa State drives, when the Cyclones went tempo, they pick up the next first down. I'm assuming they're going to try to do exactly that.
3rd and 4 here, underneath to Brock. And he lowers his shoulder and picks up the first down. So Iowa State was 0 for 2 on 3rd down conversions, but Brock ends that streak.
First touch of the ball game. Quality patience shown there by Jarrell Brock, getting the pass reception. It's one of the things that this Cyclone offense has been exceptional at for a number of years now, really the entirety of the time that Matt Campbell and Tom Manning have been here. David Montgomery, Breece Hall, now Jarrell Brock, very versatile running backs.
And this time they will hand it to Brock. You know, keep in mind, we talked about Brock Purdy no longer being the quarterback, but you also had Breece Hall as a star running back. They lost their top tight end, Charlie Kolar. All those guys are in the NFL now, so it's a very new-look offense for Matt Campbell.
And formationally, they'll try to do what they can to keep the Iowa defense off balance because there's not a lot of exotics that the Hawkeyes and Phil Parker will throw at you, but one of the things Matt Campbell loves his OC Tom Manning to do is to utilize motion to determine what the secondary will do.
2nd down and 8. Deckers drops it underneath across midfield. There's Jared Russ. Now, you mentioned the blocking he does at the fullback position. They'll occasionally toss it to him like they did there.
And this is a scenario where Phil Parker, Iowa's defense, they are often throwing more exotics at you. It's more of a 3rd and short scenario, not quite as likely, but anticipate seeing 31 in the black jersey, Jack Campbell, feint his way into one of the A-gaps.
Iowa brings 4 underneath. There's Brock again. He's hit immediately, though, by Cooper DeJean, well short of the line to gain. And Iowa State now with an interesting decision. 4th and 3, you're just across midfield. We'll see what Matt Campbell does. And it looks like he might elect to punt this thing.
Very similar personalities from each program. Matt Campbell, you can tell by his reaction there, he considered going for it from that field position like you referenced, Brandon. But the opportunity to maybe punt it, pin this Iowa offense down, and maybe get the field position advantage to your D.
And an end over end punt. that is going to take a bounce into the end zone. Could not get it to check up. So a 47-yard punt, but it only nets 27. Off the foot of Ben Garbarini. Iowa will have it when we return. Just across the street when it takes place here shortly. At the end of this quarter, Iowa's offense only runs 6 plays in this game. They're going to get it to Arlen Bruce here on a handoff. And Bruce will pick up a few there on the outside before he's brought down by Anthony Johnson. Talked about getting him the ball in a number of ways, and that's an example of it there.
He made a nice cut off the block of Monty Pottebaum, the fullback. But because Arlen Bruce is the most experienced receiver who returns, the most versatile weapon that they have available as well, he's going to be tested a lot. His conditioning will be tested as well. And Brian Ferentz, the offensive coordinator, talked to us about needing to sort of throttle Arlen Bruce back a bit during the practice week.
Bruce, the only wide receiver last week that had real game experience to step onto the field for the Hawkeyes. Caleb Johnson there, gain of 2 brings up 3rd down. But Brian Ferentz, look, he took blame. He said our 166 yards last week was not good enough, and the buck stops with me.
There are some subtle things that they're adjusting in the Iowa offense, especially in the passing attack with the mechanics and the route combinations that Spencer Petras has. But in the end, we just look up front. Their offensive line didn't perform well. A new center in Logan Jones, so you could tell the game was moving really fast for him in the opener.
Yeah, he's taken over at center for, of course, the All-American Tyler Linderbaum, who was the Remington Trophy winner, first-round pick of the Baltimore Ravens. Big shoes to fill. Now Petras, he's going to take off, and it's a good decision as he slides forward for a 1st down.
Look at the amount of time that Spencer Petras has available to him here. He could have baked a cheesecake in the pocket. And then finally, after he went through 3 different progressions, decided it was time to utilize his legs and move the sticks.
A gain of 7 for number 7. 21st career start today, a 14-6 record. But so much talk in these parts about would they go to Alex Padilla, the backup. Kirk Ferentz said has not thought about that to this point. Here's Johnson again. Some good early run for Caleb Johnson, his 2nd carry out across the 41. And I think Brian Ferentz said, yeah, right now we believe that Petras gives us the best chance to win. If we thought it would be Padilla, we'd put him out there.
And they'll, of course, continue to evaluate that as they did last season. Alex Padilla came in, performed admirably, but it's not like he lit the world ablaze when he was in at quarterback for the Hawkeyes either. But they're trying to build and grow, as we have seen Kirk Ferentz do for nearly a quarter century throughout each season.
Close to a 1st down, and they will give it to Caleb Johnson. He's a true freshman, only had 3 carries last week.
Yeah.
3 carries on this drive, and he's looked sharp.
And what I like early, when you look at the footwork of Caleb Johnson, and if he gets another carry, folks at home, pay attention to that. In the opening game, his first opportunity, his feet would chatter quite a bit in the backfield, trying to read. Now you see here, he's pressing the hole more immediately, getting downhill. True freshman, hadn't played major college football before. Now you can already see some incremental growth.
All 5 plays on this drive had been runs to this point, and then that one is airmailed well high of Arlen Bruce. Good coverage there by Miles Purchase, the corner.
It's not a wide open layup as some of the other passes were, but we've seen already several times early in this game passes towards the sideline, sailing out of bounds on Spencer Petras. Brian Ferentz talked about mechanically the lower body needing to target the area, the quadrant he's trying to deliver the football to. It timed up fine. That's growth from where Spencer Petras was early in his career, but the release point, I believe, needs to become more consistent as well for his accuracy.
Petras so far 2 for 4, just 15 yards. Fakes the handoff and fires a dart, incomplete, but the flags come in. Miles Purchase, he was there defensively on the last play. Here they say he arrived early.
Makes a big difference when you throw in rhythm. And Arlen Bruce continues to drive downhill towards the ball, and it puts the defender, Miles Purchase, in a position where he has to work through the body of Arlen Bruce.
Pass interference, defense, number 5, 15-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
And Matt Campbell, who's been so good as the head coach of Iowa State, said he just hasn't been able to get the win in this rivalry, 0-5, and right now his team behind the 8 ball a little bit.
One of the things that I think Brian Ferentz early in this season has been effective with is continuing to move the launch point, especially when you have a Will McDonald on the opposing side of the line of scrimmage. Number 9 in the white jersey there, he's as ferocious a pass rusher as anyone will see in the country. And so when you have that, this type of talent who rushes the edge, you have to move the launch point. Give your offensive line an opportunity to change things up.
They run that direction, and there is Miles Purchase trying to make amends for the penalty. Tackle for gain of 2 for Williams. Still have not seen Gavin Williams in that Iowa backfield. Again, their lead runner out last week with an ankle injury, questionable going into today.
And check the alignment of the edge defenders up front for Iowa State. This 3-3 stack that John Hawkeyes went to around 2017. One of the things that it does give them an advantage for, give the opponent an advantage for, is because the alignment of the edge defenders are so tight. There's McDonald on one edge right there, but they tighten down on the outside shoulder of the offensive tackle. It does create cutback lanes.
Petrus on the 8th play of the drive. It's knocked free and picked up by Iowa State. And it is Will McDonald who was there to grab it.
Moving on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense. First down, Iowa State.
And the Cyclones celebrate. They've got the football back with 33 seconds left in the quarter.
It's an Iowa State defense swirling towards the football. Continued force brought around the corner by Gary Vaughn. Spencer Petrus held the ball just a beat longer, but I'm sure the Hawkeyes would have preferred that he did. And then Will McDonald, he's only 6'3" in the program, 6'10" wingspan, right on the spot to pick up the recovery.
And Gary Vaughn, I mentioned there was only one player for Iowa State who has played inside Kinnick Stadium on the field. It is Gary Vaughn. He played 7 special team snaps in 2018. Everybody else has never taken the field here. Handoff, Jyrell Brock up the middle. And now Iowa State starting to get some momentum. And by the way, Iowa had not turned the football over in this series in the last 5 games. Over 20 quarters without a turnover until that play a moment ago. And you think about it, Anthony, for them that just has to feel good to say that streak is over. Now let's try to go out and win the football game. So they will be trailing after 1, Iowa State 7-0, but they've got the football, starting to drive it inside the 30. And now it is time for the wave, the tradition that started back in 2017, where everybody here, all 70,000, all players, and us here in the booth, wave to the Children's Hospital.
Was selected by our kid captain, Audrey, who selected "This Is Me."
We noted it a moment ago. Iowa's won 6 straight in this series. The last 5 games, 9 turnovers for Iowa State in this rivalry, none for Iowa. Finally, Iowa State forces a turnover toward the end of the first quarter, and now they're set up inside the 30 here with a 2nd and 3. And Brock gets the call, and Brock backs his way inside the 20 to the 19-yard line, first down.
Cyclone offensive line, they were able to cut off the backside of Iowa's defense, as Iowa did slant towards the formation, but Louis Steck on the interior didn't quite get to the gap he needed to. So really well executed run play on an outside zone. Had the cutback.
Iowa State team that cruised to a win last week, 42-10 over Southeast Missouri. They were never really challenged. Different ball of wax here in week 2. Deckers hands it off. There's Brock. And Jyrell Brock, who was over 100 yards in the victory last week, is getting into a groove. Another chunk play there, a pickup of 11.
A reference to cutback lanes. When I was on offense, Iowa State, part of their rushing attack, very similar as well. Quinn Schulte from the safety position being the first defender to come up and make contact.
Brock replacing the All-American Breece Hall and getting him down here first and goal. He's going to be the lead blocker here, but Deckers is taken down. Not fooled Logan Lee. The junior was right there to stop him for no gain.
I do like the play call, though. We're seeing a lot more in this week versus what Iowa State did in week 1, utilizing the mobility, the running ability of Hunter Deckers as a quarterback. It gives you, essentially, it takes one blocker out of account for the opposing defense when your QB becomes a ball carrier.
And Hunter Deckers was a terrific athlete, not only in football, but 4 sports in this state at West Sioux High School. Trying to get his Cyclones in the end zone. Second and goal underneath. Throws it behind Brock. Third down.
Jarrell Brock just looked confused on that one as he leaked out of the backfield. Initially, he was going to be a part of the pass protection, but he had an opportunity there.
Yeah, they're communicating about it. A flag came in late here, by the way, on the far side of the field, over toward the sideline. Referee Tuta Salam.
Ineligible player downfield on the pass, number 13, offense. The wide receiver was covered up and went more than 3 yards downfield. The penalty is declined. It's third down.
So declining it, third and goal from just inside the 10.
You were referencing takeaways just a few moments ago. The other thing that's turned the tide in this series, third downs. Now a third down inside the 10-yard line. Opportunity to maybe still pursue a touchdown, but this would be a big hole for Iowa's defense.
Pressure coming. Deckers hit as he throws, and it's incomplete. Flag coming in. It was in the area of Jalen Knoll. They're talking about it right now. And it looks like this may be on Iowa and could be a huge penalty.
Holding, number 44, defense. Half the distance of the goal, automatic first down.
And that is on Seth Benson, one of their veteran seniors.
Very experienced player here is Seth Benson. As you see him in coverage, he has Deshaun Hanecup working away from him, and he just reaches out and grabs him as he tries to go out the back door. That left hand, Seth Benson has to know better than that.
Iowa's first penalty, and now it's first and goal again. Brock up the middle. Brock's second effort, leans forward, and he's going to be a little short. About a half-yard short, second down.
Exceptional matchup on the inside between Trevor Downing and the interior of that Iowa defensive line. Brock continuing to lunge forward. You love the effort. That elbow came down. You see a clear picture of it right there before he could cross the goal line.
5 carries, 39 yards. We'll see if they give it to him again here on second and goal. Deafening inside this stadium. Ball is loose. Fumbled into the end zone. And Iowa jumps on it. Logan Klemp. Now we'll have to see, did he cross the plane or was the ball free first?
On the field is a fumble recovered by the defense. By rule, this is a touchback. Ball was recovered in the end zone. First down, Iowa.
Ruling on the field, a fumble by Brock, recovered by Klemp. No question, that ball is out. Turnovers, such a big story in this first half. Kayvon Merriweather jarred it free. Klemp jumps on it. And Iowa will have it back, leading 7-0 when we return. goal line. Touchback, and Kirk Ferentz's crew. Turnovers, 2 now in this first half for Iowa State.
I mean, just exceptional goal line defense from the Hawkeyes, but it wasn't all on the Iowa defense, as we'll show you in a moment.
And 1 turnover for each side, I should say, as this one is out to Sam Laporta, and he's taken down around the 25-yard line. T-Mobile studio update. Here's Dave Revson.
Brandon, want to get you updated on what's going on in West Lafayette. It's been all Purdue. Aiden O'Connell, the Paul Peferi, second touchdown pass of the game, 21-0 Boilers over the Sycamores.
Second down and 4 after the catch by Laporta. So 1 turnover for each team. Keep in mind, Iowa State, they also had that punt block that led to Iowa's touchdown early on in the first. Handoff to LaShawn Williams, stutter step, first down. Let's go back to the fumble. It was actually the fullback Jared Russ where the ball got jarred free, Anthony.
And this great playmaker and blocker that Russ has become here, former walk-on, he's trying to wash the pile, and his body's doing an effective job of that, but it's actually the elbow of Russ that knocks the football clean from Jyrell Brock. Kayvon Merriweather right there to collision the ball carrier as well. Patience being shown for his fit in the goal line package.
And now Iowa with a 1st and 10 just across the 30. Petrus, safe throw. And out across the 40 for another first down. Second catch of the day for Luke Lachey. Well, Friday, Stream Field Hockey Live, Big Ten Plus app, 6th-ranked Hawkeyes playing Indiana. No plus like home. Download the Big Ten Plus app and subscribe today.
And Hawkeye Field Hockey program, one of the greats in all of collegiate athletics. My wife, of course, as I was telling you off the air, former All-American for the Iowa Field Hockey team. Lisa Salucci, her former teammate, spectacular work, continuing to lead them to big wins.
6th ranked in the country. That battle coming up this week as that one on the ground. LaShawn Williams will carry it to the 44 for a gain of 3.
So Spencer Petrus, up to this point, 4 out of 6 in the game, and not a high degree of difficulty on any of the pass attempts. Frankly, could have potentially completed all 6 passes when it comes down to it, but this is where the offense right now will have to continue operating at its most comfortable, especially when throwing to the outside. You don't see a lot of press man coverage on early downs from this John Haycock Cyclone defense. When those opportunities are there, or when that middle safety is still deep, they have to be able to complete those easy passes.
Another toad on the ground, but the Cyclones looked like they were going to get Williams in the backfield. He's able to escape for 2 yards. Iowa, Anthony, already 122 yards. They only had 166 in the entire 4 quarters a week ago.
We're seeing growth, the offensive line, and one thing that they're not seeing as much of today as they did in week 1 versus South Dakota State, the defensive line for Iowa State, they're not on the move as frequently. You don't see as many twist stunts and games that really seem to confuse the interior of Iowa's offensive line in week 1.
And the Hawkeyes have been heavy on the ground. 13 runs, 6 passes so far. That high snap, and Petrus did a good job to just get rid of it as he throws it incomplete to the outside.
Ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. It's 4th down.
Pressure was coming quickly. MJ Anderson, a Minnesota transfer, took him to the ground.
And Will McDonald is playing what we used to call the joker position right there. He's not only a dominant edge rusher, but that's a new look that they didn't see in week 1 on film, with him being right there in the face of Logan Jones as a center. Logan Jones hasn't faced that before. Dominant pass rusher right over him as a zero technique.
They haven't had points either way in the last 18 minutes of this game, so the defense is settling in as Torrey Taylor gets away his 2nd punt of the afternoon. And this one goes into the end zone. Taylor was so good pinning South Dakota State inside the 10 last week, could not get that one to check up. Football on the Big Ten Network is powered by Unleaded 88, the clean burning fuel choice. It's engine smart, earth kind. Downtown Iowa City, what an atmosphere this weekend. Down there last night, everybody having a good time, and the fun, of course, continues today.
You see that? on a weekly basis when the Hawkeyes are going to be at home, but it does ramp up a bit when the Cyclones are in town.
Remember the last drive, Cyclones got it down to the 1 and then fumbled into the end zone. This is the man who fumbled, Brock, and he gets the call here for a gain of 3.
A level of trust being shown, getting the football right back to Jyrell Brock so he can sort of get that nasty taste out of his mouth from the previous fumble. But there is the potential for some change of pace with some of the other backs as well. We haven't seen Eli Sanders get the football for the Cyclones yet.
And they are without Cartavius Norton, freshman running back, out with a leg injury today. And they've got high hopes for him. 2nd down and 7. To the outside, there's Hutchinson. Hutchinson is just so good. You saw it last week. You're seeing it in this game, and you're going to see it all season long.
Iowa normally so effective at tackling one-on-one. Matchup with Riley Moss, and Moss having to try to evade the block of Jared Russ. Russ able to get just enough on Moss to allow X to be able to work after the catch.
Last week he set an Iowa State record with 83 catches, 2-time first team all Big 12. What a receiver he is. Back to Jyrell Brock. And Brock will get a couple.
One of the things that Tom Manning, the Cyclones offensive coordinator, what he wants to do is to be able to get the defense's eyes to pay attention to whatever little eye candy is there. That time they started off in a balanced set 2-by-2 through potential receivers to each side. And then he motioned to what we know as 3-by-1 into the short side of the field, potentially hoping for a cutback lane to emerge.
Now on 2nd and 8 to the air. Underneath, there's Brock. And Brock, nice cutback. He's going to be tripped up a yard short, so 3rd down and 1. Jack Campbell with a tackle for Iowa.
You never know for sure how young quarterbacks will respond to pressure. And Hunter Dekkers hasn't necessarily gotten beat up in the pocket a lot early in this ball game, but there he was under duress, looked over to the wide side of the field, still delivered an accurate pass even though he had pressure coming. We saw Jack Campbell operate as a spy in some previous 3rd downs here.
They just need a yard. Lowering the shoulder, he'll get it. Needed 1, got 2. Did Jyrell Brock. And after you had Breece Hall, who was a 2-time All-American, they wondered who would replace him and how well would Brock do replacing him. And certainly he looks like he's going to do just fine.
And not true tempo after that 1st down, but just sort of a sugar huddle to at least put tempo in the mind of the opposing defense.
Eli Sanders checks in at tailback, but Hunter Dekkers wants to throw it. And he throws it nicely across midfield. And there's Sean Shaw Jr. first catch for the senior. Well, still to come, triple header continues. Michigan, Hawaii, or some will see Indiana and Idaho. Big Ten football sponsored by Hampton by Hilton tonight at 8 Eastern.
So I take it you haven't been to the islands then?
Yes, I have. It's been a while.
And you still pronounce it Hawaii as opposed to Hawaii?
Oh, my apologies.
Okay. Let's get it right up here.
Been there twice. Had a lot of pineapple. Enjoyed the time. And up the middle between the tackles here, there is Eli Sanders. You mentioned how they've got several backs. Silas, Sanders, Brock. And that time it's the redshirt freshman with a gain of 2.
I'm a bit of an island snob.
I was going to say, how many times you sound like you got a residence there in the offseason?
Quite a quarterback storyline the Wolverines have playing out there.
Second career start for Dekkers. The 4 touchdown passes last week. And here fires a strike that falls incomplete, trying to get it to Dimitri Stanley. That's the first-year Colorado transfer who had 1 catch last week. Could not bring that in.
Well, now a 3rd and long. It's a very different scenario. The previous 3rd down, essentially a 3rd and a long 1. Now having a 3rd and 8. This is where the Iowa defense more likely to get a bit exotic, more likely to see Gulliver moving around in those A-gaps.
Longest 3rd down that Iowa State has faced today, and a long throw. Did he get his foot in? They say yes. What a catch by Aiden Bitter, the redshirt sophomore, somehow toe tapping the sideline.
To be able to extend while keeping not only one foot as you need in college, but both feet appearing in bounds.
Throwing again, trying to go over the top. What a grab, back-to-back sensational catches. First it was Bitter, and there it's Hutchinson.
Hunter Decker's feeling it at this point, throwing it precisely where it has to be, over the outstretched outside shoulder of his big play wide receiver.
So a gain of 16, then a gain of 24. Now they're knocking on the door. They want 6 here. And the pass is high. There are no flags. They say the coverage clean. Terry Roberts there defending. The crowd's still booing because they didn't like that call on the catch by Bitter, but looked like he got that one clean.
Agreed. I really thought not only 1, but perhaps 2 feet in bounds as he was dragging out full extension.
Well, they talked about how confident Hunter Deckers is, and I think we're seeing that on display.
And able to direct traffic. A number of examples so far in this game where as they've gone in motion, as they've broken the huddle, he's been able to adjust both protections and audibilize the play.
Now he's going to run it with Brock as the lead blocker down to the 4. Well, second time they've tried to run that down near the goal line. Now that'll bring up 3rd down.
And the Cyclones, with the variety of tight ends that they trust, it does allow some versatility of personnel group. They're rotating in and out right now, but you can see a scenario here on 3rd down where they can bring multiple tight ends into the game, start in a tight formation, perhaps spread it out to use the mobility of Hunter Deckers.
Big 3rd down. Here comes pressure. Lofts it for Hutchinson. Oh, he almost had a one-handed Odell Beckham catch, but it falls to the ground, and on 4th down, Iowa State will try a field goal.
A collective gasp in Kinnick Stadium because it was oh so close. A passing attack throughout that series, and it really found its rhythm. Just a fingertip away from a touchdown for the Cyclones.
So frustration for Iowa State, as Hutchinson looks like he may be in a little bit of pain.
I would be too. See the way he came down?
Yeah, he came down hard. Hopefully he's okay. 22-yard field goal here for Jace Gilbert, the freshman. And low kick for the true freshman, but bottom line, he got it through, and Iowa State erases that goose egg.
No doubt about the fight anticipated from the Iowa State Cyclones in this ball game today, responding with big throws and catches. Fingertip grab by Aiden Bitter. Now the X-Man making it happen.
Built for success, brought to you by Rocket Mortgage. Well, the Iowa Hawkeyes have been so good in trophy games. 6 straight against Iowa State, 7 against Minnesota, and 7 in a row also against Nebraska.
Kirk Ferentz, it was early in his time when I played for him here at Iowa for a couple of seasons. We did not have that kind of success in years 1 and 2 of the Ferentz era, but continues to be astounding the way that his program grows under his leadership.
The dean of FBS coaches now in his 24th season, 179 career wins for Kirk Ferentz. As Riley Moss is going to return this and be upended right around the 25-yard line. Well, for the biggest Iowa experience, there's no plus like home. Big Ten Plus app powered by Big Ten Network, your favorite Hawkeyes content streaming and on demand. Download and subscribe now.
There's one thing I'm curious about, Brandon, with both offenses, really. We're, of course, getting to the tail end of the first half. There's some potential weather expected in half number 2. If we get a downpour, then things will condense offensively. I wonder if either coordinator with the ball here closing the half will show some aggression to try to take advantage of the clear weather we have still.
Yeah, and it is coming. If you look at the radar, there's no question it will rain at some point in the second half of this game. By the way, quick side note, you may have seen the yards pop up on your screen. Iowa just now over 80 yards of offense. We said they were over 100. There was a mistake with the scoring of the stats up here in the booth. It has now been corrected, so they now have 81 total yards of offense.
The collective we said it. You know, the royal we were there. Now we're accurate.
And this is the same score, of course, that the game ended in last week, 7-3, when Iowa beat South Dakota State. So you think about it, 6 quarters in the stadium so far this season and 20 total points. Petrus to the sideline. He missed Bruce again. We talked about it. That's the 3rd time he's overthrown Bruce.
It's another one of those layups, Brandon. And to at least get it near the body of the receiver, to give Arlen Bruce an opportunity at that reception. And your mechanics are different when it's boot action. Your mechanics are different when it's sprint action. Your mechanics are different when it's a straight drop back. But in the end, Iowa State is acquiescing those passes to Iowa. That's what John Hawkeyes does. If you can complete those, you can continue to move the chains.
There were a few boos after that last throw smattered throughout Kinnick Stadium. He was 11 of 25 last week, 4 of 8 so far today, and now 4 of 9 as that one is batted to the ground. And a great job by who else but Will McDonald, the star defender, who got 2 hands on that one.
6'10" is the wingspan of Will McDonald. So even though we're into the 2nd game here, and as a pass rusher, he hasn't necessarily made the impact that we're accustomed to early in the season, but he's got multiple blockers there paying attention to him. Doesn't matter. Able to get those big paws up into the air and affect the play. Look how high he is. Not only the feet off the ground, but the hands into the sky.
Reigning Big 12 co-defensive lineman of the year. And now look at this alignment here for Iowa on this punt. As everybody switches to the right, Taylor punts it that way. And Noel with a fair catch inside the 30-yard line. 42-yard punt. 7-3 Iowa. Iowa State will have the ball. 3 timeouts and 2:37 to go when we get back. Well, stick around. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups halftime report coming up. Dave, Jerry, and Howard breaking down the first half, and they'll get you all the other action happening across the conference as well. Oh, that looks fantastic. And Hutchinson, he's been fantastic.
Speaking of fantastic,
well,
yes.
We know he's the #1 guy, and that's what he's been today.
And he's done it in a variety of ways. They've continued to find ways to get him to football, even though every opponent knows that Xavier Hutchinson is the one who will be the focal point.
Pressure, dropping it off. Brock makes one miss, and then they rally. Moss gets him to the ground after he was able to temporarily get by Seth Benson. No gain, though, 2nd and 10.
So there's a level of comfort that Hunter Deckers was beginning to establish throughout the first half here. So now you saw there an example, Iowa just throwing an off-speed pitch, changing it up. 1st down with some additional pressure.
Deckers 15 of 21, uncorks one here, but slipping was Dimitri Stanley. That was almost disastrous. Terry Roberts, though, could not pick it off.
Colorado transfer, just sort of working his way into this Cyclone passing attack. Terry Roberts, he's been a guy who's been banged up throughout his career.
And all of a sudden, Iowa could get the ball back with 3 timeouts themselves here. A 3rd down and 10.
Joe Evans, the best natural pass rusher, rushing off the right edge for the Hawkeyes. They've been paying extra attention to him with the running back helping the tackles.
Here he comes. Evans chasing, almost got home. That pass is dropped by Merriweather off the deflection. And Kayvon Merriweather is now in a little bit of pain. He appears to be okay.
Just as Xavier Hutchinson tried to extend to get the ball, tips it up into the air. An INT opportunity. You don't see the Iowa secondary miss too many of those.
Still looking for that interception. They had 25 of them last year, most by an FBS school in the last 6 seasons. Flag here with 2 minutes left on the clock.
I think Jay Higgins essentially called the flag for the officials.
Down. Delay of game. Defense. Unnatural movements and signals causing the offense to react. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
That is not a call you hear very often.
Not in special teams. It looked like maybe Higgins thought some movement was there from the offense, and he tried to alert the officials to it.
And the punt gets away. Boy, Luke Van Ness almost got a hand on that. And a fair catch by Arlen Bruce. 1:53, 3 timeouts for Iowa. We'll be back in 15 seconds. So Spencer Petras, who's just 2 for his last 7, comes out here. How do you think you orchestrate this drive here? Plenty of time, 3 timeouts.
More than enough. And for Iowa, Kirk Ferentz, complimentary football. I'm imagining it's in his head with the amount of time remaining, hoping not to give the ball back to the Iowa State offense.
Here's a handoff. Williams, nothing. Iowa does not have a play longer than 11 yards in this game. Stick around for the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups halftime report with Dave, Jerry, and Howard.
Iowa State takes their first charge timeout of the half. 30 seconds in length.
So Iowa State's going to go ahead and take one of those 3 timeouts, and we'll be back in 30 seconds. Okay.
I like that one.
Iowa State took that last time out. And this time, Petras wants to throw it. He does complete it to the tight end Laporta, but he's going nowhere. Upended by Gary Vaughn. And now I would think Iowa State will take another timeout, and they will. And we'll go away for 30 more seconds and be right back to Kinnick. Campbell trying to get the football back. Well, you're Iowa, it's 3rd and 8, normally a passing situation, but you want to make Iowa State use that last time out here.
Without a doubt. My prediction was run play 1st down, tunnel screen 2nd down. They ended up going with the sprint pass on 2nd down as opposed to that.
All chunk plays in this game have been on the side of Iowa State. Frustration for the Iowa offense continues. Petras deflected and intercepted into the hands of Colby Reeder, and the Delaware transfer returns it down near the 10-yard line. What a huge play for the Cyclones.
Reeder has been an extremely effective part of their blitz package prior to this moment. See him here specializing in pass coverage, a pass that Spencer Petras just doesn't need to force into that situation. Again, an experienced player in Alec Wick feeding the ball into a tight window on 3rd down late in the half. As it bounces off the hand, this gives the Cyclones an opportunity. It doesn't matter how many timeouts they have. They are inside the 15-yard line.
Petras, 1 loss, fumbled the interception. Last 8 games, 1 touchdown, now 9 interceptions for Spencer Petras. 93 seconds at a timeout for the Cyclones. Handoff. No, keeping it. Deckers swallowed up by Seth Benson. No gain. How do you manage this if you're Iowa State right now?
No need from this yard line to utilize the last timeout yet. You factor that in a little bit if you're Matt Campbell, Tom Manning, but in the end, you've got plenty of time from this field position to be as aggressive as you want into the end zone.
Iowa will get the ball in the 3rd quarter. We're also expecting rain to start in the 3rd quarter. Deckers going for the end zone, and that is intercepted. Picked off by Cooper DeJean. Turnabout is fair play, and the Hawkeyes have it back.
The veteran quarterback for the Iowa Hawkeyes with a critical error, giving an opportunity to the opponent on his home turf. Now a young quarterback for the Cyclones with an absolutely crucial mistake into double coverage, and the young playmaker in the secondary for the Iowa Hawkeyes, Cooper DeJean, one of the more exciting young recruits they have had of recent vintage, making a sensational play, undercutting one of the best receivers in college football.
And for Matt Campbell's crew, both of their turnovers have come in the end zone. The fumble by Brock recovered in the end zone. That time, the pick thrown by Deckers also in the end zone.
And Deckers threw it so flat there. The previous passes, his best passes have been showing he could throw it over the outside shoulder.
Going conservative here with LaShawn Williams. And the way the offense has been last week and this week, I'm guessing they're just going to be conservative here and take a 7-3 lead into the lockers.
I would imagine all of Kinnick Stadium would hope that's going to be the case at this point, having the opportunity to go into the locker room with a lead over their in-state rival.
With a scoreboard that looks very familiar, like it did a week ago when the 7-3 final was it between Iowa and South Dakota State. Only 84 yards of offense, but up by 4. Another tote for Williams as he's tackled by Anthony Johnson. And that'll do it. 2 quarters in the books. Well, sort of what we thought we might see. Iowa is winning not on offense, but they're winning with defense right now.
And there's a bit of that mirror image with the approach that their opponent, Iowa State, takes as well. Complementary football being a part of that. And as we pay attention, we've been kind of previewing that some weather is expected to come here to Kinnick Stadium. The special teams aspect of this matchup will be a huge portion of that as well. If you're getting rain, Iowa's punter, perhaps the best in America. How does he handle that? Because when it comes down to a field position, both these programs value that in a really large way.
So the first half, we had 4 turnovers, 2 for each team, and only 2 combined scores. As you see, Kirk Ferentz wants to get some clarification.
Having a rather, by Kirk Ferentz standards, animated discussion with the officials.
Normally very docile, low heart rate. Remember, that first touchdown came at the 12:21 mark. We didn't have any touchdowns, just 1 field goal the final 27 minutes. Halftime show coming up. Iowa up by 4. Well, Kenny Bell was out at the tailgates this morning. And with Casey's handing out their new beer cheese pizza. Rick and I tried that. I gotta say, it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
And the Cyclone and Hawkeye fans thought so as well. 7-3 at intermission. Iowa leading it here at Kinnick Stadium. Rain is supposed to be coming shortly. Still dry. But with the dry conditions in the first half, 4 turnovers, Iowa only 86 yards of offense. But here they are winning because their defense made a couple of key plays, key turnovers in the end zone.
They're opportunistic as a program, and this has been kind of the repetitive storyline with Iowa's success in this rivalry, but really on the whole when you look at recent seasons. And overall, their offense has been able to be created by what they've done in special teams as much as anything. Be able to come out early, block the punt, the offensive line able to impose their will on a very stout front 7 for the Iowa State Cyclones, and a missed opportunity for Iowa State. Multiple missed opportunities in striking territory where they had a chance there. The fumble from Brock and an ill-advised pass from Deckers at the Hawkeyes. Come up, make the play, and capitalize as we've seen them do time and time again.
Yeah, it's just a similar story to what it was last week. And not a single play for Iowa of over 11 yards in that first half. Iowa State was right there, as you saw, on the door twice for touchdown opportunities, but could not take advantage.
I think Kirk Ferentz would remind you they have punted for more than 11 yards repeatedly here, so that they've gained yards in special teams in that regard.
And Iowa will receive the football to start the 3rd quarter. Riley Moss looking for a seam between the hashes. Pretty good return. Number 33 takes it across the 30, and we go down to Rick Pizzo.
Despite all those struggles on offense, Brandon, especially in the passing game, there will not be a change at quarterback when Iowa gets the ball to start the 3rd quarter. I asked Kirk Ferentz directly if there was consideration to bringing in Alex Padilla. He said no, we are sticking with Spencer Petras. I then asked if there was any message that the coaches wanted to share with Petras. He said no, he can't do it by himself. We have to give our quarterback much more help in the second half.
And Kirk said he never contemplated pulling him last week. He also said the noise on the outside of the locker room is a lot louder than it is on the inside regarding what's going on at that quarterback position. Handoff here, and getting into the backfield, Colby Reeder, who had the interception in the first half, able to get in there for a loss of 3. But the wide receivers right now for Iowa, no catches. All the catches have been by the tight ends. Iowa State, 10 catches, 108 yards from their wide receivers.
They've certainly been targeted. Arlen Bruce has. We've seen Alec Wick targeted as well from a receiver perspective. I've used the term throughout the first half of this game. It'll continue into the second half. The layups that are available on quick speed outs, on hitch routes, Spencer Petras has to be more accurate with those. The football tends to sail on him when it goes outside the numbers.
3 in particular have sailed over Bruce's head. Here's another tight end catch. Sam Laporta, who's been the main target for them, with a grab, but it goes nowhere, and now you're facing a 3rd and 13.
And this, of course, not a down and distance that any offense wants to be in, but then especially when you don't necessarily have what you would view as matchup advantages. And then just like Brian Ferentz talked to us about coming into this game today, the defense knows Arlen Bruce and Sam Laporta, those are the two main targets that Iowa really feels confident in trying to target.
Well, let's also credit this Iowa State defense and John Hawkeyes, defensive coordinator. They've been really good.
They certainly have. It's a very active defense. They come up and tackle with physicality as well.
Play clock down at 1. On 3rd and 13, a delayed handoff. Gavin Williams, there he is. He was out last week with an ankle injury and didn't play in the first half. Gets a carry here, but he's shoved out after a gain of 8, and Iowa will have to punt.
Looked like there was going to be an opportunity, perhaps, for Gavin Williams to turn the corner, but quality pursuit. Picked up a little yardage, but not enough where Iowa, I don't believe, would even consider going for this 4th down from this field position.
Interesting that they didn't put him out there in the first half, but trot him out in the first series of the 3rd quarter. He was the backup to Tyler Goodson last year, Gavin Williams, 65 carries on the season, and figures to be the #1 tailback here in 2022. As Taylor launches one, Knoll's going to let it bounce, and it goes into the end zone. A little too much boom off the foot of Torrey Taylor. Taylor, a 63-yard punt, but a net of 43. QB comparison presented by Unleaded 88. And as we've documented, Deckers and their passing game on the side of Iowa State much more successful than the Hawkeyes.
This Iowa defense will now have the opportunity because they're getting the ball. Iowa State will get the ball from the 20-yard line here. One thing we haven't necessarily seen Iowa's defense do, without maybe a little bit of added pressure, we haven't seen them without a blitz really be able to make Hunter Deckers uncomfortable. That's one thing that I think Phil Parker will have to focus on in this half.
1 sack for each team. Jyrell Brock, patient, finds a hole, makes a man miss. Is a good, talented tailback. Takes it out to the 34 for a gain of 14.
Now it looks like Cyclones will go with a bit of tempo. They got away from the tempo in the 2nd quarter of the ball game. Now going back to it.
Deckers on the short drop, pumps and then throws. And there's Stanley. Talked about his time at Colorado. He had 70 catches there over 4 seasons. He caught it there, but he didn't get any yardage out of it.
Just see a little bit of the arm talent from Hunter Deckers as well from the opposite hash. He didn't even need to step into the throw, just sort of flicked his wrist and threw it, for one thing, accurately, but with some velocity out there to Stanley.
Mentioned he was quite an athlete at West Sioux High School, all-state in football, basketball, and baseball. Could throw a fastball over 90 miles an hour. There he rifles one to Dimitri Stanley. A little short of the marker, so it's going to be 3rd down here.
And the 3rd and short is where the Cyclones can certainly be very comfortable, especially because Deckers is so mobile. For Iowa in their defense, when you get them into those 3rd and longer scenarios, that's where you can add some of the pressure.
The Cyclones 3 of 8 on 3rd down in the first half. This pass is intercepted. Or no, it's dropped. No, they'll say he caught it. Well, Terry Roberts' reaction would suggest
is an interception. 1st down, Iowa.
That he didn't pick it off, but he did grab it.
Perhaps it's a bit of disappointment that he wasn't able to keep his feet to take it the other way. But he cradles the football in, catching it like a defensive back, essentially, not necessarily trusting the hands as much, but as he cradles it in, able to steal a possession for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Confusion for the Iowa State Cyclones. He thought Xavier Hutchinson was going to run the slant inside, and he thought that Jalen Knoll would end up running the speed out. Knoll, for some reason, decides to stop and run it back inside like a whip route. Terry Roberts on the spot to be able to make the INT, setting up his offense.
But I've never seen someone be so frustrated after an interception because he wanted to take that back for a 6. Instead, they'll start out near midfield and give it to LaShawn Williams for a short gain to start this next drive.
So this is yet another opportunity. Iowa fans, this is a familiar refrain over and over again, where the defense getting a takeaway in outstanding field position. The question remains, is this an offense that's growing to the point where they can capitalize on a moment like this?
Last week when they had 166 yards of offense and got the victory, that was the fewest yards in a win under Kirk Ferentz for Iowa. And he's been here 24 years, and today 94 yards, but still up 7-3. And Spencer Petras is going to have to burn an early timeout.
Iowa takes their first charge.
First timeout.
Timeout on the field.
10:24 on the clock. Well, folks, a member of our team, Colleen Dempsey, who's a graphics operator, lost her father, Matt, this week. He passed Tuesday at the age of 63. He was a proud Purdue Boilermaker and Big Ten fan. And we are thinking of Colleen, Matt's wife, Roberta, and the entire Dempsey family. Just had to burn a timeout. Now on 2nd and 7, LaShawn Williams gets tripped up in the backfield. Scurries back to the 50, but that'll bring up a 3rd and long, a loss of 2.
And penetration into the backfield by Iowa State. They do a remarkable job just having 3 down linemen, but their linebackers from the 2nd level are so active and they support the run. Any play action opportunities in the intermediate area should be able to be featured, but you do need to establish a run to force them to overreact.
And they're going up against an Iowa offensive line that doesn't have near the experience of last year's offensive line. You had 3 players last week starting for the first time at their respective positions, including, as we talked about, center Logan Jones. 3rd down and 9. Petras, and that incomplete. Try to get it to Alec Wick, the walk-on from Iowa City, who played his high school ball just 3 miles from here, but through his hands, and Iowa will punt again.
This is another one over the head of the receiver. This at least touches the hands of Alec Wick, but it's repetitive. And this isn't new to today's game. When Spencer Petras misses throughout his career, he tends to miss high. The lower body is a portion of that equation, but also the upper body. To turn the trajectory, the nose of the football over, I really feel like the way he's grasping the football with his hands needs to adjust, get more wrist action as he throws.
Petras on 3rd down is now 0 for 5 with an interception today. But they've got a good weapon in punter Torrey Taylor, the Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week. The preseason All-American pins Iowa State deep, angling the punt to the corner. Football on the Big Ten Network is brought to you by Auto Owners Insurance. Simple human sense. And by Currency. Need financing for heavy machinery, farm equipment, trucks, or trailers? Currency is here to help. Visit gocurrency.com for details. And by Discover, the official credit card of the Big Ten Conference. Iowa State backed up at their own 5. Brock gets it handed to him in the end zone, and he's able to get a little room, but not much. But this is a tough spot after that Iowa punt for this Iowa State offense.
And how safe do they need to play it? Because they're not facing a defense with this exotic blitz package until you get to 3rd down. But the question is, knowing where that guy is right there, Jack Campbell, he always, when the opponent's backed up, finds a way to the football.
Trying to dump it. What a one-handed catch by Brock. Making something out of nothing there. Takes that out to the 13 for a gain of 6. So that'll bring up 3rd and short.
It shows a level of comfort from Hunter Deckers. It's really beyond his experience. You look at him just throwing a teardrop to his running back with some oncoming pressure in his face, and the confidence he has to be willing to float the pass there with defenders in the vicinity.
Sanders in the backfield now. Wait, flags. This is going to be a false start.
False start. Number 67, offense. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That's on Grant Treiber, who is starting again for the injured Jake Remsburg, and he moved early.
From now, your quarterback, Hunter Deckers, he won't be completely in the end zone at the snap of the football, but he is that much closer to the confines of that Kinnick Stadium crowd directly behind him. End up in a mug look, Jack Campbell.
Deckers pumps, lets it fly, and incomplete. Was trying to go to his top target, Hutchinson. He had it for a second, but it fell out of his hands, incomplete.
And you can't cover every blade of grass on the field, but you want to force the offense to complete, or at least attempt to complete the most difficult pass available to them. Riley Moss gets no other opportunity aside from Xavier Hutchinson to have to complete the fade route right near the sideline. You're essentially using the sideline as an additional defender, and they run out of space.
Hutchinson, 7 catches, could not bring an important 8th into his chest, and now Perkins standing on the I in Iowa. Boots it away, and it's tipped again. Second time Iowa has got a hand on a Cyclone punt, and they'll have it right around the 20-yard line. Lucas Van Ness with a disruption there.
We think of a variety of special team standouts for the Iowa Hawkeyes, frequently in the return game. Quite often, it's the tiny little guys who down punts inside the 10-yard line. Today's special team stud has been one of the interior defensive linemen in Lucas Van Ness.
Just getting his left hand on it. What a play. A guy who arrived here as a 235-pound defensive end. He's bulked up to 275, but as you said, he's making big plays.
Another opportunity for this Hawkeye offense to make it a multi-score game if they can capitalize.
Twice that Van Ness has blocked punts, and now from the 20-yard line, Petrus. To the outside, Laporta, but a touchdown-saving tackle out there by Miles Purchase.
That was a bit of a careful pass from Spencer Petrus, but it was at least accurate. He's got a stronger arm where he can feed that football out to Sam Laporta with more velocity and put him in a better position to run after catch. You could tell that Petrus took just a bit of velocity off of it to sort of guide the football to Laporta more accurately.
Last time Iowa scored off the block punt, they began at the 16-yard line. Here they started at the 20, and now they're going to hand it off to Caleb Johnson, and he is met rudely. So now you've got a 3rd down. We'll see what Iowa elects to do on this play.
The one thing that we haven't necessarily seen Iowa attempt, and especially in the red zone here, perhaps some formation into the boundary. And by that, I mean a set where the passing strength has more bodies to the short side of the field, and perhaps see if they can set up a matchup to the wide side for one of the essentially 2 playmakers available to them.
They need to get to the 10-yard line. Williams in the backfield. They fake it to him. Wide open. Caught. Stumbling, though, and not able to stay on his feet, Arlen Bruce. So he's been targeted a lot. There's his first catch. He smelled the end zone but couldn't get there.
This is another one that Petrus somewhat guided to him, but it's okay in this scenario because he gets it and you see Arlen Bruce with the opportunity to continue his momentum forward in stride. So that pass completely fine from Spencer Petrus, actually his talented playmaker, who ends up stumbling as he tries to turn towards the end zone.
First catch by a Hawkeye wide receiver in this football game, and it took over 2.5 quarters.
This, for the last 4 seasons, had been Tyler Linderbaum territory, where the best center in America would have a quarterback get under center, and they would QB sneak it anywhere near the 5-yard line. Now Logan Jones, wearing the same exact jersey number, we'll see if that trust is built with the new center.
They bring in the fullback. They hand it off to Gavin Williams. Gavin's 2nd carry of the game, working his way back from injury, and he takes it down to the 1-yard line.
And Logan Jones last week against South Dakota State had a really difficult game. There was a lot of movement from their defensive front. He, in the same path as Tyler Linderbaum, had just moved from defensive line in the spring a few months ago. They've entrusted him with this position that has so much on the plate of being a center for the Iowa Hawkeyes, now inside the 2-yard line.
You said it, wearing his number, switch positions like he did. Here they run it up the middle behind him, and Monty Potabom, did he get in? Did he lose the football as well? Looked like he dropped it, so Iowa State thinks they have it. And now they got to get to the bottom of that scrum.
Potabom is standing up without the football in his hands.
A quick conference. And a little bit of what did you see? Here's what I saw going on right now.
The play clock not running at the moment as the officials go into their conference, but the Iowa Hawkeyes in the huddle preparing for anything.
The ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense. First down, Iowa State.
Wow. So Potabom drops it. Iowa State recovers it right on the edge of the end zone. We have several looks. Here's the first. Boy.
The ruling on the field of a fumble is under further review.
Now, of course, keep in mind, if he breaks the plane of the goal line while he possesses the football, plays over it, it's a touchdown, but might have been jarred free first.
It certainly looks like it from the angles that we've shown so far. Emani Potabom, as he attempts to approach the goal line, he has both hands initially over the football, and then you see TJ Tampa coming in, raking away at it. Initially barrels through multiple Cyclone defenders, tries to make one last lunge, and then that next lunge is just enough that exposed the football. It looks like TJ Tampa may have knocked it away before he crossed.
Boy, it is close.
Advantage point.
Keep in mind, ruling on the field was fumble, and this is a good time to welcome in Dean Blandino for the first time. Well, Dean, what are you seeing on this play?
Yeah, two things. Did the ball come loose before the runner was down? And it looks like it did. But then did it break the plane in his possession before it came out? That, I think, is the tougher decision here. We've got a couple of good looks, and we're going to have to see, did that ball break the plane in possession of the runner?
And Dean, one of the things that folks don't always realize is that the officials can use a variety of angles to sort of piece together what happens in a moment. So initially, like you're referencing, whether or not the runner was ruled down, and Emani Potabom, the Iowa fullback, did appear to be laying on body. So it doesn't look like that first impact took him down. The second lunge, though, where he's still a ball carrier, that's where you're referencing maybe the defense is knocking it away before he crossed the paint.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked like he was on bodies. And now in the replay booth, they have access to the same angles that we have in the truck. So they're trying to piece angles together. And what they're really looking at right now, did the ball break the plane of the goal line before it came loose? So you want to get a shot. We have a really good shot down the line, but a lot of bodies in the way. It's really tough to tell if it was in possession when it broke the plane.
Now, these two looks are in sync, simultaneous, two different camera angles. Let's see if we can tell anything better here, Dean.
The two areas where he potentially could have been ruled down before the ball is loose. Did his knee come down initially? It doesn't appear from either angle that's the case. Another lunge comes here. Is the ball either across the stripe, or does that elbow even come down where he still has possession? There, it looks like as the defender, TJ Tampa, is coming in, beginning to strip it away. That's where the officials will have to figure out if there's enough here, enough indisputable video evidence to overturn the call on the field as it was made. As far as I can tell here, this looks like a call that will end up standing.
Yeah, Dean, do you agree?
Yeah, I think he does have possession, but again, and we're piecing angles together, it's really close. And you just said it. Is it indisputable? Can we say absolutely that the call on the field is incorrect? And I'm having a hard time getting to absolutely incorrect. And when that's the case, it should stand.
Well, we're about to get the ruling from Tuta Salam.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. It's first down, Iowa State.
Yep.
And stands is the optimal word there. They couldn't confirm it in either way. But stands means that there wasn't that indisputable video evidence to overturn the call.
Both teams lost a fumble at the goal line. Remember, Iowa State did that in the first half. Now 6 turnovers in this game. We've had 2 blocked punts and 10 total points.
One of the most effective elements of Spencer Petrus's game over the years has been the QB sneak. I was rather surprised we didn't see them attempt the sneak one time.
But now you've got Iowa State backed up inside their own 1. And just trying to sneak it, and a pretty good push. Look, if you're Iowa State, you'll take that, getting a couple of yards and just getting out from the shadow of your own goalposts.
We've got the consummate leader
of their offensive line, Trevor Downing, former offensive guard, who's just really in their bowl game last season, the Cheez-It Bowl, moved to center, and since then he's been right there on the interior of this Cyclone offensive line.
And Kirk Ferentz was honest with us and saying Trevor Downing was a player that Iowa really wanted, offered him, but he decided to be a Cyclone. Movement, and looks like this might be on the defense.
There was some late stemming going on as Iowa State motioned from the short side of the field and motioned to the wide side of the field.
Offside with contact, number 85, defense, 5-yard penalty, second down.
And that's on Logan Lee, and that gives Iowa State even more breathing room.
Much more comfort here where you don't have to run a QB sneak just for fear that you won't be able to get out of the end zone. Now you can run more of your standard offense.
Deckers gives to Brock, and Brock going to be a couple yards shy of the first down marker, so a big third down play coming up here with a little over 4 minutes left in the third.
The run game for Iowa State has done enough. We've seen Jyrell Brock. He's made some elusive moves. He's been waiting throughout his career, most recently behind Breece Hall. Brock was actually a more highly regarded recruit than Breece Hall, but then Breece Hall just became this record-setting domino for Iowa State in the backfield.
Brock, another kid who Iowa offered, but he opted for Iowa State. Will they go to him here? They do, and he finds the hole and gets the first down. Good run by Jyrell Brock, and you feel like for Iowa State that is a huge conversion.
And a sensational cut. The vision at a moment's notice as Jyrell Brock sees the hole initially, and as he pressed it, just went back door. One of the Iowa interior defensive linemen tried to shade inside. It was Noah Shannon, tried to get into the A-gap at the last second. Brock able to cut on a dime and pick up the first down.
This time it's Eli Sanders, the running back, and he gets the call. And a good run here, push forward for a gain of 5 to the 20.
So what we haven't seen Iowa State attempt to do since the first quarter was any of the arc release type passes using receivers out of the backfield. It's one thing that they've really specialized in, whether it's been Xavier Hutchinson, Jalen Knoll, to be able to motion them into the backfield and see if they can set up a double move opportunity. Not sure that I trust Iowa State has the patience to continue trying to run the football into the interior, the teeth of this Hawkeye defense. We'll see if they pick up a chunk.
Second down and 5, through the hands of Dimitri Stanley. Little behind him, but he got both hands on it. Probably one he should have caught, and now they're facing another third down here deep in their own territory.
Now again, using the word patience as each team focuses on complementary football. Because Iowa's been able to control the game on this end of the field so consistently, I don't think you necessarily need to worry about heating up the pocket with an additional blitzer.
Cyclones 4 of 11 on third down. Some pressure up the middle. Pass complete to the outside. There's Xavier Hutchinson, and he has enough to move the chains.
And Hunter Deckers is fading away while he's delivering that football, and as he runs backwards, still has both the accuracy and the RPMs necessary to hit his big play receiver in stride.
First catch of the second half for Hutchinson after having 7 catches in the first half, and that was a big one there. Iowa State trying to get rid of this 6-game losing skid in this Cy-Hawk series. Their last win was 2014, and it came here at Kinnick. Brock, good step through across the 30, spins for a couple more before he's met and dropped. 8-yard gain, 2nd and 2.
There was some success on those outside fade routes, the 9 routes, with Hunter Deckers trying to drop it over the outstretched shoulder of players like Xavier Hutchinson. They missed it the last series out, but now that they are in more than comfortable field position here, 2nd and short, we view this as a waste down in football where the offense has the entire playbook open.
They go back to Brock. Well, he had 77 rushing yards before that play, but that was going backwards. Lucas Van Ness.
His team stud.
Yeah, he had the couple of blocks on the punts, and here he gets in for a 1-yard loss.
On the interior of that Hawkeye defensive front, Van Ness working in a two-eye technique and then sheds the block. That is just a spectacular play from Lucas Van Ness, moving another grown man against his will and making the play.
Cyclones 2 for 2 on this drive on 3rd down, and trying to convert again, and they do. To Jalen Noll, he finds himself open between the hash marks. And Iowa State making some big conversions on this drive, Anthony.
You're seeing the difference, frankly, between the two passing attacks, where there is more rhythm and timing to the way that Iowa State's passing attack is operating here. So even when the pocket condenses around Hunter Dekkers, he can get the football out of his hands and make the defense pay.
They don't have to run another play here if they don't want to, and it seems like they may let the clock wind down to zeros. It looked like Matt Campbell from the sideline was telling him, hold up. Let's just take this thing to the 4th quarter.
The Hawkeyes don't trust it, though. They're going to stay ready just in case.
This drive started at their own 1. They've worked it out across the 40, but they're still trailing Kirk Ferentz and Iowa 7-3 here in Iowa City. Well, for the biggest Big Ten experience, there's no plus like home. Big Ten Plus app powered by Big Ten Network. Download, subscribe now. That Cy-Hawk Trophy, they've been playing for that since 1976, even though the first rendition of this rivalry dates all the way back to 1894. Matt Campbell, he's had so much success on the sideline for the Cyclones, but he's 0-5 in this contest. His team, though, starts with a football here in the 4th quarter. Jirel Brock gets it out near midfield. 6 turnovers in this game, 3 between each sides. We've had the 2 block punts, just 10 total points. It has been an interesting one.
And just crucial moments for the wide variety of the turnovers as well. They've got about running backs fumbling as they're about to cross the goal line, quarterbacks throwing interceptions, setting up their opponents.
2nd down and 5. They will hand it off here to Noll in the run game. He needed to get to the 47 to pick up the first, and they will say he got to that point. A little slow to get up.
Pretty physical tackle.
Timeout on the field for an injured player.
Jalen Noll, who last year as a true freshman had 39 catches, 3rd most by a freshman in Cyclone history. Got a couple of catches in that run here today, but he's a little shaken up and going to walk off. Well, folks, for the biggest Iowa experience, there's no plus like home. The Big Ten Plus app powered by Big Ten Network. Your favorite Hawkeyes content. Download and subscribe now. Jack Campbell, leader of that defense, trying to get them set here, but Iowa State moving the football. This drive started back at their own 1-yard line.
And a nice variety to the way that Tom Manning's operating right now, with speed options, screen plays.
Dekkers with a clean pocket. Goes underneath the safe route to Aiden Bitter. Well, we've been waiting for that rain, by the way. We've had 6 turnovers without the rain. It is coming. If you look at the radar, it's very close to Iowa City, but so far we've been dry. But if it does come, that could really change the complexion of the rest of this game.
Without a doubt, and I'll enjoy seeing the fortitude of Rick Pizzo tested down at field level as well. That's a big part of why I'm excited for the rain to come, aside from just the obvious football and dramatic elements of it.
Already the 13th play of this drive. Sanders, and Sanders slips through to the 40. He's the redshirt freshman who they say has the most elite speed of the running back room, 2-time state track champ in Arizona.
Because Iowa's defensive front, they don't have 300-pounders across the D-line, so it takes a lot of energy to have the flat back, the hand placement to be so fundamentally sound, and hitting run blocks over and over again, that can sap energy when you have to do it snap after snap.
If they don't get this, could be 4-down territory, but they don't have to worry about that as Hutchinson stretches out and has enough to the 35-yard line. This has been a surgical drive, 3 third down, now 4 third down conversions on this drive, Anthony.
And the fact that Hunter Dekkers in his first start on the road in a hostile environment, to be able to sort of enhance his calm and be able to maintain himself after what seemed like a very critical turnover he had in the second quarter of this ball game, really impressed with him.
Keep in mind, he takes over for Brock Purdy, the winningest quarterback in program history. And Brock bounces outside. Looked like that was going nowhere. He is able to pick up 4 yards.
One of the reasons, as I've evaluated Jarrell Brock throughout the time he's been with Iowa State, what separated some of those other great backs, especially in recent years, Breece Hall took advantage of every carry, got every ounce of every run. In last week's game, their opener, he didn't necessarily run with the type of tenacity he did in the second half of the game. He's been really exceptional with that so far today.
He and Breece Hall were both part of the 2019 class, very close friends, but it's Brock's show now as Hall is off to the NFL. And short gain to the 30. This is a big play coming up on a drive that has already lasted over 8 minutes for Iowa State.
And what Matt Campbell needs to be doing with Tom Manning is to let him know if he's already determined that this is 4-down territory. Because if he has, your playbook on third down can be very different. You don't necessarily have to attack beyond the chains if you know you have 2 snaps to go.
From here, it would be about a 48-yard field goal. Pass is complete. It's Hutchinson again, and another first down. How about 5 third down conversions on this drive for Iowa State?
Third down has been such a critical mass in the previous 5 matchups of this series. Turnovers have been a bit of a push, but third down, especially on this drive, going the way of the Cyclones.
Guys, this Iowa defense needs off the field badly. As talented as they are, what they are not is deep. Remarkably thin in that back 7. They have been on the field for a long time, and those linebackers and safeties really feeling it. You can see hands on hips and some serious heavy breathing.
Drive approaching 10 minutes. Dekkers keeps trying to get the edge, but Terry Roberts chases him out of bounds, and here comes the flag. And that's going to work in Iowa State's favor. You had Roberts chasing him out, and then Cooper DeJean coming over there as well.
Former high school All-American Cooper DeJean, we talked about his versatility. When he made contact, it did look like Hunter Dekkers may have still been in bounds. He was. That to me is a scenario where even though it looks like, yes, he's not even necessarily giving his body up at that point.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 3, defense. After distance to the goal, automatic first down.
Well, Dean Blandino, what's your take on that call?
Yeah, as we just saw, it looks like the contact starts inbounds. You're going to see the contact right here, and we're still in bounds. And to me, there really isn't anything additional out of bounds. It just looks so bad because you have a lot of people on the sideline, and the officials can see that and they react to that. But to me, it looked like the contact was in bounds.
All right, Dean. Well, it goes against the Hawkeyes, and the football now will be at the 10-yard line.
Couldn't agree more, and that's where the human element ends up influencing the officials, where the sideline on the Iowa State sideline, they react. Flags come in very late after the collision has already taken place.
Brock is going to take the direct snap here. He has a convoy, but they don't block for him. That Iowa defense comes through strong and knocks him down for no gain. Well, first time that we've seen that today, a direct snap to Jarrell Brock. Well, we've seen Iowa State not be knocking on the door twice today. They fumbled once in the end zone. They threw an interception in the end zone. Can they finally get in here?
Still a variety of personnel groupings that Tom Manning throwing at the Iowa defense. That's the first time we've seen the direct snap to Jarrell Brock as the tailback.
Look at that drive. 19 plays. This is play number 20. Deckers completes it. Knoll cannot escape. He escaped for a second, but he couldn't stay on his feet. Short gain of 2.
And he started off lined up in the backfield, and that's where matchup-wise you can try to feature that, having your receiver, your great pass catcher, potentially get a matchup against a linebacker.
Of course, a field goal only pulls you within 1. It's Cyclones thinking end zone all the way here. 3rd down and 7. Deckers goes for Hutchinson, and he's got it. Touchdown. There are no flags, and Iowa State has the lead. Riley Moss was pleading for offensive pass interference. He didn't get it, and Hutchinson scores.
Matched up one-on-one. All-conference versus all-conference, potential All-American versus All-American. Hutchinson does knock the hands away of Riley Moss. I don't necessarily think as receiver and defensive back are engaged like that, that's necessarily a penalty the officials need to call.
What an impressive 99-yard drive for Iowa State. And the star receiver, Hutchinson, caps it off. And now the extra point by Jace Gilbert. And the true freshman boots it through, and Iowa State is on top for the first time. And that's the first touchdown we've had in 49 minutes. Iowa scored 3 minutes into the game, and nobody had found pay dirt until Deckers found Hutchinson. Well, Dave Repson, Jerry DiNardo, Howard Griffith recap the entire day of Big Ten football on the final drive, presented by Auto Owners Insurance tonight, 11:30 Eastern, on the Big Ten Network. So Iowa State, 3 red zone trips in the first half, only 3 points, and then they do this. They go 99 yards, 21 plays in almost 12 minutes.
21 plays. I mean, something about that just seems implausible, that you can go 21 snaps in a drive, 99 yards, and come away with the touchdown there.
And Matt Campbell's crew takes the lead here with 8:27 remaining. And Gilbert kicks it away. Moss from the 9, and he'll just fair catch it. That Iowa offense only 111 yards. And they're going to need to find themselves with 8:27 remaining. Football on the Big Ten Network is brought to you by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. 70,000 at Kinnick Stadium, and it's a nail-biter, 10-7. Cyclones lead it. Spencer Petras and that offense, just 1 first down in the last 6 drives for Iowa. Can they change the narrative here? Gavin Williams is in the backfield, but Petras wants to throw it, and he does complete it to Sam Laporta. Now, Laporta has been his favorite target. That's his 6th catch.
Petras has been more effective in the game today is getting depth on his bootlegs, on his sprint action. Where in last week's game, when there was any penetration, even when they moved the launch point, you still saw it affecting him as a passer. He's doing a more effective job getting deep on these rolls and moves.
So Petras 9 of 16, 8 of his 9 completions have gone to the tight ends, and they're going to try a reverse with Bruce. But Iowa State is not fooled. Will McDonald is out there making the play, as is TJ Tampa.
There wasn't a lot there to force the defense to overreact to that left side of the offense, the short side of the field, when they tried to set up Arlen Bruce coming around on the reverse. That's the thing. If you're going to run a reverse, you want the defense to over-pursue in one direction. Outstanding patience being shown there by the Cyclones.
Loss of 4, so now make it 3rd and 5. Petras with a clean pocket, but he misses Bruce again. Threw it in front of him. Some boos coming down here from the folks at Kinnick. And Iowa will have to punt with 7:11 to go.
Arlen Bruce has been open a lot, even though everyone on Iowa State's defense knows they're going to try to throw it to number 10. If it ain't 10, it's going to be 84. Number 10's been open a lot. Spencer Petras has missed him repeatedly throughout this game. And different from last week's game, Spencer Petras was under pretty consistent duress. One thing that I do believe has improved is the timing. He's getting the ball out of his hands with better rhythm. It's just been an inaccurate day.
Taylor back out for another punt. A low line drive spiral. Stanley slips through, but they barely got him. Xavier Wampa clipped him by the ankles. Getting down to the good stuff. Cyclones by 3. Mayhem moment brought to you by Allstate. We've had 2 goal line fumbles in this game.
I mean, missed opportunities and more touchdowns. People love touchdowns. Folks like points. Defense saying, it's my football, punk.
And that last fumble by Monty Potabom was reviewed, but it was held up. They're playing for that. The Cyhawk. Iowa State 7-0-2 away from ending the 6-game series skid. Shotgun snap to Deckers. He turns to Brock, and Brock slips through for a few, and we go to Chicago for a T-Mobile studio update.
Brandon, the Hawkeyes not the only team that is in trouble. Wisconsin having problems with Washington State. Down by 3. Clay Cundiff was their 2 touchdowns. Fumbles it away. Cougars ball up 3.
Thanks, Dave. Matt Campbell, for all the success he's had, 10-13 in August and September games. Been a lot better once October rolls around. And of those 13 losses early in the season, 5 have come to the Hawkeyes. Second and 6, keeping it, Deckers. And Deckers trying to scoot forward, but the convoy is there. The first to meet him was Schulte. Well, remember last drive, they had 5 third-down conversions.
And their ability to throw variety at this Iowa defense was a huge story in going 99 yards for Hunter Deckers and that Cyclone offense. Whether it was a speed option, whether it was a teardrop here for the touchdown, Tom Manning really did an effective job of keeping the Phil Parker defense off balance.
3rd and 1 and an empty set right now. Watch that play clock. And yeah, they're just going to take a timeout.
Iowa State takes their first charge timeout of the half. Timeout on the field.
Matt Campbell gets to talk it over with his crew. 5:31 to play. 5.5 to play. Cyclones by 3. Let's take a look at Quick Clips, brought to you by Sport Clips. And it's the 2 block punts for Iowa.
Lucas Van Ness, their 270-pound defensive lineman, had each of them. It's a really effective pass rusher, both via power, via outside leverage. Led all Big Ten freshmen with 7 sacks last year, now adding punt blocks to his resume.
And just a couple of years ago, he was a hockey player at Barrington High School, just outside of Chicago. Imagine that on skates coming at you.
I'd rather not. Frightening to think.
Huge 3rd down here for Iowa State. Is this where they turn to number 21 and say, get us a yard?
That's the more likely scenario. I wonder if they're willing to throw a fade to the outside.
Iowa thought there was some movement.
Man across the board.
They are going to sneak it, but wait. A timeout again by Iowa State.
Iowa State takes their second charge timeout of the half. 30 seconds in late.
Maybe Matt Campbell wishes he hadn't called that. Raindrops now coming in. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Well, we made it through to 5:31 left in the 4th, but the precipitation has arrived in Iowa City with a big 3rd and 1 looming. Iowa State, after 2 consecutive timeouts, they hand it to Brock. He lunges. It looks like he got it barely.
A narrow margin.
But from where they were coming in on the side, the officials, it looked like he may have gotten it. Boy, it's close.
His body didn't emerge from the opposing defensive front. Which really surprised me as he sort of barreled into the line of scrimmage. I expected maybe at least his head and shoulders to come out the other side. When he got into the line of scrimmage, he got into the stack. It pretty much stopped all of his momentum.
Well, you don't see many old-fashioned measurements anymore, but that's what we have. And what a critical juncture in this ball game, in this rivalry.
I wonder if the crowd remembers it's third down here.
Wow. He got it by the nose of the football. First down, Iowa State.
There's still over 5 minutes to go, so Kirk Ferentz and Iowa, they don't need to consider using their timeouts yet at this point in the three-point ball game. But with 2 remaining, you of course want to get the ball back to your offense with plenty of comfortable clock remaining.
Clock now inside of 5 minutes. Iowa State's offense has been on the field for 24 of the last 27 plays in this game. So that defense has to be getting exhausted. Brock again, this time going nowhere, and the rain is intensifying. So you start to think about ball protection, security if you're Iowa State.
And this does, I would imagine, condense the playbook that much more, where before we got to this point where now it's a full downpour, the potential for aggression felt like it still could have been there for Iowa State. With just a 3-point lead, perhaps you still look for opportunities to feed it outside to Hutchinson, trusting his ability to make the grab. That likely off the table at this point for the Cyclones.
A game that's seen 6 turnovers, 3 by each side. Again, it's Brock, and again that Iowa defense is stopping him for a short gain of just 1 yard.
This rain likely could not have come at a better time for the Hawkeye defense, because now strategically Iowa State certainly could attempt to pass, but these elements, the precipitation just now coming to the fore. Be one thing if it was raining the entire game and your quarterback and receivers had gotten a feel for throwing the football in these circumstances. This just began a few moments ago.
The Cyclones have converted on their last 7 third downs. They need 9 yards, and they're not going to get anywhere close. And a timeout is going to be taken by Iowa and Kirk Ferentz.
Iowa takes their second charge timeout of the half.
3:12 left.
On the field.
Back in a moment.
Dave Repson in our Chicago studios. Get you out for the conclusion of the game in just a moment. Don't forget, as soon as it is over, highlights and reaction as Howard Griffith and Jerry DiNardo join me for the State Farm postgame. And then prime time tonight, a huge day of football continues as 4th-ranked Michigan battles Hawaii. Some get Indiana and Idaho. It's Big Ten football sponsored by Hampton by Hilton tonight, 8 Eastern on the Big Ten Network. Let's get you back out to the game. See you in a bit.
Iowa State punting in the rain here with 3:12 left, and Lucas Van Ness has blocked 2 punts today. Cyclones better have him marked.
Freshman punter.
Yeah, Perkins, and he just gets it away. Arlen Bruce with the wet conditions, sliding down to make the fair catch just outside of the 20. 15-second break. We'll be right back to Kinnick.
Some banks give you credit card rewards, but make you jump through hoops to use them. With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount, anytime.
So here's the situation. Spencer Peterson Company taking over. Rain coming down, and they'll start at the 22, Anthony.
Quarterbacks who started 3 seasons or more, it's been difficult for them to maintain their popularity with fan bases, but we saw Penn State's Sean Clifford change the tide of his season.
Can Peters come up with something after struggling here? Good pass, finding Laporta, and it is a catch at the 33 for a gain of 11.
Spencer Peters has more than enough arm strength to be unbothered by the weather. Let's watch the feet of Sam Laporta. Right foot down completely, both toe and heel in bounds.
He came in with 97 career receptions, and he's got 7 today. And that play of 11 yards ties the long play from scrimmage today for this Iowa offense. Peters pressure, hit as he throws, and incomplete. Lucky that it fell down incomplete after his arm was affected on the follow-through.
The stud safety, Anthony Johnson, he'll appear late into the A-gap. The mug look from both linebackers opening up a cavernous hole in the middle of the protection that Johnson's able to exploit just before Spencer Peters can follow through with the pass.
Talked about Anthony Johnson, 43 straight starts, was a cornerback, now a safety. 2nd and 10. Pressure again, and that one sails high over Laporta's head.
And that's where there was time for Spencer Peters to step into this pass more effectively, but he felt the rush of number 4 Reeder coming on the blitz.
So now 3rd and 10. Where do you go if you're Iowa and Kirk Ferentz?
Well, with the remaining time, it wouldn't shock me, depending on how much time comes off the clock here. If they don't convert this, let's not assume that Iowa will end up going for 4.
2:30 left. Iowa still with a timeout. Only 127 yards of offense for the Hawkeyes. That pass incomplete. There are no flags. They say the coverage good by TJ Tampa. And 4th and 10. You talked about it, a decision now for Iowa.
Laporta felt like he had gotten held, perhaps collisioned as he was working through his route. Officials think otherwise from TJ Tampa. Now 4th down coming up for this Iowa offense.
They will stay on the field. Again, they have not had, this Iowa offense, a play of over 11 yards in this game. They need to find at least 10 here. Peters, Cyclones rush 3. Over the middle, it's incomplete. Bruce had it in his sights, but he couldn't haul it in. Flag comes in back where the quarterback was standing after releasing the football.
Personal foul, face mask, number 70, offense. The penalty is declined. It's 1st down, Iowa State.
And Cyclone fans breathe a sigh of relief. They force the turnover on downs.
Most targeted man on the day for Spencer Peters has been Arlen Bruce. A pass where normally, in standard conditions, Arlen Bruce would reach out and grasp it with his hands. Now with the precipitation, the wet football, it gets into his body and he can't hold on.
One of the best passes Peters has thrown here this afternoon.
Agreed.
And Bruce cannot bring it in. And now Iowa State in prime position, up 3, 2:18 left, and Iowa only has 1 timeout left. And Arlen Bruce just 9 scrimmage yards in this game and missed an opportunity.
Hasn't been for lack of trying. He's been targeted quite a bit.
Handoff, just trying to eat some clock. I would assume Iowa will go ahead and take that timeout here. Maybe they'll hold it. Now they're going to go ahead and take it.
Iowa takes their 3rd and final charge time out of the half.
2:10 left. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Clock operator, please reset the game.
Well, coming up after the game, the Big Ten Live Football postgame presented by State Farm, breaking down all the action. Kirk Ferentz, his team down 10-7 here. And a 2nd and 7 coming up for Iowa State. No timeouts left for Iowa. Now you're in that area where if you don't get it here on 3rd down, you could kick a field goal, but in these conditions,
right.
I don't know how Iowa State's going to play this. You got a true freshman kicker, Anthony.
Exactly. The battery there between snapper, holder, kicker, your snapper's experience, but neither kicker is for Iowa State. So I would imagine Matt Campbell already talking to Tom Manning about that, how to play it. Don't have me start doing math on national television, but, you know, somewhere under a minute is where Iowa would end up getting the football back potentially.
You see Deckers just eyeing that play clock, trying to milk every second. Another tote for Brock. Nothing there. So you could, if you wanted to, take this all the way down, take a delay of game, and maybe do a short punt, but you've had 2 punts blocked. I don't know. This is a tough decision.
I would assume perhaps another handoff would come here. And just the hopes that on a 4th and 4, maybe you can cut it back against the grain. Jirel Brock has had some success pressing the hole for a moment and running laterally. Obviously, he would need to be conscious of staying in bounds. So all those reminders that would come from the sideline here if you do decide you're going to actually run a play.
He can take that final timeout. That's what he'll do.
Takes their second charge timeout of the half. 30 seconds in.
Going away for 30 seconds. We'll be right back for the finish. Stay with us after the game. Big Ten Live Football postgame presented by State Farm. So it would be a 45-yard field goal or 4th and 4. You could also, if you're Matt Campbell, just try to draw that defense off sides here.
Certainly, and then in that scenario, if you end up just taking a penalty from there, you could, I suppose, try to run a play.
Well, right now, Decker's in the shotgun with Brock on his hip. They will snap it, and they throw it, and it's incomplete. Flag though. Cooper DeJean in coverage on Hutchinson. And the laundry comes out on the field. Remember, DeJean had the big penalty earlier on the late hit out of bounds. It was a questionable call. And will he be tagged for interference here and essentially in this game?
There's no foul on the play for defensive holding. It's first down, Iowa.
No, they pick up the flag.
Let's have a look at it in live action. It didn't seem to be anything that I think should have drawn a flag. There's going to be a little bit of jostling and hand fighting there. Some of it initiated by the receiver, Xavier Hutchinson. And just like on the one that happened in the end zone with Riley Moss, where I thought the officials let that go correctly, I believe the same in this scenario. It's football. It's a collision sport. Corners are going to jostle with receivers a bit. That, again, engaged by Hutchinson. So I think it was the right call by the officials to pick that up.
So Iowa does get the football back with 38 seconds, no timeouts, and an offense that only has 127 yards in this game. They need about 50 yards to even think about a game-tying field goal. Petrus, pressure. Tries to escape and just does get rid of it as he's hit by Reeder. And we welcome those of you that just finished watching the Purdue game.
Grounding. The quarterback was outside of the pocket, and the pass went beyond the line of scrimmage.
As Tuta Salam indicates there, no intentional grounding. 30 seconds left here, 2nd and 10. And I know we sound like a broken record, Anthony. I just don't know where Iowa turns in this situation.
There's only been one target to Luke Lachey up to this point, and it was a contested grab that he caught with one hand. He's the most proven contested grab commodity they have.
Petrus underneath, but in front of Williams. Even if he had caught it, that was going nowhere. And now 3rd and 10, 24 seconds.
Spencer Petrus has to throw the football into traffic. He has to give his playmakers on a more vertical pass an opportunity to come up with it.
We didn't have any rain until 5 minutes left in the 4th, and it's turned into a soaker. Not making things easier on this Iowa offense. And Spencer Petrus just 1 for his last 8.
If you throw it into traffic, you at least give the opportunity for a flag to be drawn by one of your playmakers.
Starting to get down to the desperation time as that pass is caught by Alec Wick, the walk-on freshman.
Clock will briefly stop with the first down.
And then they get up and spike it. That 15-yard play, the longest of the game for Iowa.
Snapped. The previous play is under review.
And they're also going to look to see if that was a catch by Wick.
So this potentially puts Iowa in a bit of an awkward scenario. If the review goes their way and it's confirmed, then that's fine. But if for some reason the review ends up not going their way, not only do you bring up 4th down, but even if it goes their way, now you have to get back over the football and be prepared to snap it again and try not to run too much clock off.
That's a clean catch.
Looks like it.
And a very good catch through the raindrops by Wick. So longest play of the game for Iowa's offense, 15 yards. It at least puts a little light at the end of the tunnel for the Hawkeyes.
They're confident in the leg strength of Aaron Blom, their freshman kicker.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It is a catch. It's 1st down, Iowa.
But now Iowa does need to rush over the football and be prepared to snap it and clock it again. That clocking of the football essentially never took place.
Well, in these elements, you would think that they need to get to about the 35 to even have a chance for Aaron Blom. And so there you go. They spike it, 15 seconds left.
Clock operator, please reset the game clock to 15 seconds. 1-5. Thank you.
So from Iowa's perspective, you have at least had the opportunity for now your pass receivers who've been running deep routes play after play to get a little bit of a blow, maybe catch their wind a bit more.
You probably need about 25 more yards to have a chance at a game-tying field goal. Petrus under pressure again, and he's stripped. Iowa State picks it up. Flag comes in as well, so hold everything.
On the field is a fumble recovered by the defense.
M.J. Anderson, a Minnesota Golden Gopher transfer, stripped it. McDonald picked it up, but everybody now waits on the penalty marker. And there are actually 2 flags down on this play, one on the near side and one over on the other hash mark.
With multiple pass protectors available to account for every rusher that the Cyclones had available to them. Incredible tenacity shown there by M.J. Anderson.
And now our referee, Tuta Salam, getting all the information he needs to pass along to us.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Offside, defense, 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. The foul was on number 3. It's 2nd down. After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct against the Iowa State bench. Multiple players came onto the field. That's a 15-yard penalty. It's automatic 1st down.
They will tack both of those on. One is a pre-snap foul. One is an illegal conduct. So here, off the defensive edge, lined up in the neutral zone. But then from there, after the play is over, a dead ball foul on the sideline. So there won't be frequently, if there's 2 flags in one moment, they only actually walk off one of them. There, because of where and when the flags occurred, both end up being tacked on in favor of the Iowa Hawkeyes.
So it is a 20-yard penalty, essentially, 15 plus 5. You got 9 seconds left. There's confusion right now about several things. I think first and foremost where the football is going to be spotted. But it should be at the 39-yard line. It is supposed to be from the previous line of scrimmage.
Tack on 20 additional yards.
So from here, it would be a 57-yard field goal try. Do you go for one more pass on the sideline?
You do. You have more than enough time to at least attempt one more out route. What's a big risk is if you decide you want to try to throw it beyond the sticks, hoping the clock will stop.
9 seconds left. Petrus from the gun, going for the outside, and boy, that helps a lot. Laporta Steps out of bounds at the 30 with 5 seconds left. That would make it about a 47 or 48-yard try for Aaron Blom. Blom, the sophomore, last week missed from 40 and hit from 46. He was in a kicking battle all camp with true freshman Drew Stevens. Blom won the job, and he's got a chance here to send this thing to overtime. Through the raindrops, he missed it. It's no good, and Iowa State is going to win it. And Matt Campbell and the Iowa State Cyclones end their 6-game losing skid. First win in this rivalry since 2014. And even though there wasn't a lot of offense, what a ball game this turned out to be.
By percentage, Matt Campbell has been the winningest coach in Iowa State Cyclones history. He's finished the regular season with the best record in the Big 12. The main mountain he had yet to summit was defeating Kirk Ferentz and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Matt Campbell and the Cyclones have finally gotten that done.
Some chippiness, some arguing. They're trying to get in and separate the two sides quickly. And it looks like they've done that successfully. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Matt Campbell's been such a sensational coach, but he has yet to have his team hoist that trophy, and they get to do it here today.
We saw an Iowa State team that came in today healthy, hungry, schemed up, and ready to roll against the Iowa Hawkeyes. This kick from Blom, it looked like he tried to get under it just enough to ensure that it wouldn't be blocked. It's a good snap, quality hold from Torrey Taylor. Matt Campbell's been waiting for this moment.
But cool as a cucumber over there as his team celebrates and gets the 10-7 victory in the 69th Cy-Hawk battle here at Kinnick Stadium. Thanks for watching, everybody. For our entire crew, headed up by Bart Fox, our producer, director Andrew Blaustein, Rick Pizzo down on the sideline, Anthony Herron up here with me in the booth. I'm Brandon Gaudin. The final, Iowa State wins in Iowa City 10-7, and they hoist the trophy through the raindrops. So long, everybody.